This video is a presentation that was made before the Tampa City Council on May the 26th, 2022. What it talks about is the difference between two types of community development strategies. One type of community development strategy is what's known as the need assessment model. But need assessment model can be viewed as a half-empty model when it comes to community building. Well, what are some of the characteristics? Well, it tends to be driven by outside agencies. It tends to view residents as program/clients. And it continues the outflow of community resources. Remember that. It continues the outflow. You're going to learn about inflow when we talk about asset mapping. The other thing it does when you use this model is that it adheres to an imposed standard. He who controls. The other model, and it's the model we use, is known as an asset building model. Let's talk about some of the characteristics. Well, first of all, it focuses on building existing capacity. It is relationship driven. It promotes self-sufficiency, and it recycles resources within the community. Remember when we're talking about need assessment, how it outflows resources? Well, assets building, in fact, recycles the resources. So let's talk a little bit more about assets mapping. Well, assets mapping is the process of identifying the resources, skills, and capacities of individuals and organizations in a particular community. We've created a database that does this, and we're constantly improving that database to make it even more sophisticated. Okay, now the purpose of the assets mapping is to provide the community with an understanding of its potential for revitalization. The key to which is the process of assembling or putting together a map skill. Households of poor neighborhoods are rarely perceived as assets. Instead, they are often seen as recipients of social services and clients of programs. However, or in contrast, an assets mapping approach to community development begins by focusing on the potential opportunity for development and not the deficiencies. It is more focused on a half full glass of water as opposed to a half empty glass of water, in which a need assessment provides. Need assessment looks at the negatives, whereas to assess mapping looks on the positive and builds on the positive and builds on the potential. Now, contrary to conventional assumptions that inner city neighborhoods are poor markets, some studies suggest that the issue is not the lack of income, but it's the use and expenditure patterns We need to look at these patterns, and that's what we do. We look at these patterns to think about how do we create an economic development or what businesses will be supported by the income in the community. As one analogy that we do. The input of an assets mapping effort is a healthy local economy characterized by the recirculation of money, a high rate of employment among residents, as well as ownership of businesses. That's why our Business Development Center was created in order to focus on the increase in resident owned businesses. Again, it looks inside and it builds a capacity inside instead of looking outside in terms of business coming in. It looks inside at the capacity of the community and it builds from within. That's a key component to the strategy. Now, the method we use in putting together the framework is that we use what's known as a we use for this initiative we use a community mapping strategy that synthesizes three types of community discipline: neighborhood planning and understanding what are the needs of the neighborhood, what are the strengths of the neighborhood, community organizing, bringing together the neighborhood to actually help design the plan, as well as help implement and more importantly, control the plan. And finally, economic development. How do we merge economic development to bring about the vision of the community? Assets mapping strategy uses that. Now, it takes all of these disciplines and put them into one single methodology for community revitalization. So let's hear about what I was talking about at the city council meeting.
Megan Thomas, are you with us? All right. Michael Randolph, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you
Thank
hear
you,
me?
Mr. Randolph.
Thank you. My name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with West Tampa CDC. Today, I want to talk about two types of development. The first type of development is what's known as a need assessment model. This type of model is driven by outside agents. This model also consists of seeing residents as programs and clients. The model that we use is what's known as an asset building model. It focuses on existing capacity. It is relationship driven, it promotes self-sufficiency, and it recycles community resources. The household or poor neighborhoods are rarely perceived as assets. Instead, they are often seen as recipients of social services and client programs. In contrast, an assets mapping approach to community development begins by focusing on the potential opportunity for development and not deficiency. Contrary to conventional assumptions that inner city neighborhoods that are poor markets, some studies suggest that the issue is not the lack of income, but the use and expenditure of patterns. That's what we plan to change in West End. If the local economy is to flourish, residents' income should be spent in ways that support community activities. The key to revitalization is mobilizing whatever assets we have. The other thing I want to make is that the West